on a Monday for another Mouth Experience Monday. Dude and JD do a head-to-head comparison of Old Forester 100 and Bardstown Origin Bottled and Bond Wheat Expression for this Monday's episode. Find out how we rank them on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. Have you thought about supporting our podcast? Head on over to the website at www.bourbonhunters.com, where you can by picking up one of our Kinsey drams or ordering from our partners over at Manscaped.com. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of The Bourbon Hunters. I am Dude Poole. I'm joined by... How you feel? Just...
JD Fritches.
So it's just the two of us tonight. Is that a twosome?
Yeah.
So we got a Monday, Manscaped Mouth Experience Monday. So today we're mixing it up a little since it's the two of us. Can't really do it blind since there's half of us would know what it is. So we're going to do a head-to-head Mouth Experience Monday. Shouldn't take too long. We should stay right around that same 10-minute to 12-minute mark. But speaking of Manscaped... Fellas, do you want your grooming routine to be a one-and-done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over, thanks to our friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6. Introducing the Beard and Balls bundle featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger. A trimmer for the moneymaker and another for the boys downstairs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Bourbon Hunters at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Bourbon Hunters at manscaped.com. For the premium grooming experience, trust Manscaped.
Just used it yesterday.
Yeah. I
don't know what I'd do without it.
I shaved the bear down yesterday as well. I was getting a little what do you call it, fluffy? Is that the right word for unmanscaped? I don't know. Something. Anyway. But yeah, that was only the second time I've used it. I guess my stuff doesn't grow back as quickly as other people's at my age, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
I'm thinking that the PGRs, the growth regulators, may be kind of going through my body and it just slows it down.
Well, I think that I still have the same gorilla tendencies, but it just grows slower. That's all. So, as I mentioned, we're going to do two head-to-head, and we're going to start off with the Old Faithful, Old Forester 100 Signature. That's, if you're scoring at home, that's the regular bottle that has the orange and black label and says 100 proof. Not the 86.
Top.
Yeah, not the 86 that you usually see behind the bars, but the actual Old Forester 100. Still a reasonably priced bourbon for 100 proof that tastes as good as it generally does. We're going to see tonight what we think. But less than $25 for a bottle of that. You know what I always say, that's like a sore penis. It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat. Didn't you order, tried to upsell your drink and order the signature and then they charged you for it?
Oh, yeah, they charged me for it, which was funny because what they were using in the original drink wasn't anything expensive. So it's not like this should have been, and this isn't expensive, so it shouldn't have been an upcharge. I was at, what was the place? It was up in Westerville, and it was for Valentine's Day. And I was having an old-fashioned, and I asked them to put this in it instead of what they had. I think it was a rye to begin with. And so to change it out to this, they charged me $11, which is what this would have cost neat. I'm like, so you're charging me for the drink and a neat pour of this, but I'm not getting the neat pour.
No.
It was a little ridiculous, but whatever. I can't remember what that place was called. It might have been like the library or something like that. It was a restaurant up in Westerville.
I'll read up on it.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I can probably look back on my checkbook app that I have on my phone and see what it was. But anyway, Old Forester 100. This is the signature 100. Again, not to be confused with the Whiskey Row Series 100 proof bottled and bond that they have, and it's not bottled and bond. I have no idea what the age is. They don't state it. Plus, it just says 100 proof. So. Anyway, what do you think on this?
I think it definitely, just nosing it, it solidifies why we went with the 100 proof in our barrel pick.
I've said this over and over again, but Old Forester, I feel like their sweet spot is 100 proof. I've always thought that. I've had some really good barrel strengths, don't get me wrong, but I feel like when I'm sitting down to an Old Forester, I don't want the 86. I don't generally want a barrel strength, and if I'm not doing the Whiskey Row series, I want 100 proof. For me, I get nose of banana all day long on this.
Ripened banana.
It is. It's a ripened banana, and I know that there's a chemical component to that. It's part of the.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, but it's in my executive steward notes. Ooh. I just don't. I don't remember.
How was that process?
It was fun.
Yeah.
So the online stewardship program it's almost the same material, but they go a little bit deeper. It was actually pretty cool. You were there for 8 hours, morning to evening. And you go into the Moonshine University, like they show you the still. They had you actually help start a mash cooking, and then you dump it into the still and all that stuff. So you cook the mash, but obviously you're not waiting around for all these things to happen. You're taking it from one stage to the next. So like you're putting in. Into the still, you're putting in something from a few days ago. Into the, cooker, you're putting in something, that was just milled a couple days ago, stuff like that. So, but you're not taking the same product and putting it all the way through the process. You're just, adding something as, that was already prepared and ready, almost like a cooking show or something like that. But it was good. It was a really good process. You get this really nice tasting kit to bring home. Outstanding. And it's not a tasting kit, I'm sorry. It's a nosing kit, but it has like 50 or 60 different nosing type things on it. When you pass the test, you get a challenge coin. You get a lapel pin. I don't know. It's just really cool. It was a really fun experience. But,
nice.
So let's dive into this. Let's. I get bananas. You get anything else on the nose? There's just an overall sweetness.
Yeah, a little sweetness, maybe slight citrus hint. But after you taste it and I go back, it actually morphs into more of a banana nut bread.
I get the banana nut bread on the nose actually before I even dive into it, and I wasn't thinking about it. There's some nut to it, and I can't think of what kind of nut it would be, like maybe walnut or something like that. But holy cow. Is that your phone or my phone blowing up? I think it's mine. Oh, yeah, 9 messages. Holy cow. Anyway. Now, I will say, I really do enjoy this. It is a little thin. Like, it's got a good mouth experience. However, compared to some of the other stuff that we do that has a really high viscosity, this is not as thin as some of the stuff we've had on this episode.
It hits all of the mouth parts.
Yeah. It hits the front, hits the middle, hits the back, has a decent little finish. It's not super viscous, but it's not super thin either. I'd just say it's kind of middle of the road. But for $20-some, I mean, honestly, this is a great pour.
Have you ever had caramelized bananas? Like,
yeah.
I get a little bit of that on here too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, this is good. I go back to the nose, and like you said, it does come off a little bit more banana nut bread after that. Yeah, I love doing that. If you've never done that before, I always nose before I drink. I think most people do that when they get into this stuff. But I always go back to the nose after I drink. And I think that always opens up a couple more things that maybe connect your nose to your palate. And you start recognizing a few more notes on the nose when you do that sometimes. Unless it's just a super simple, whiskey. But
for the money, pour for pour, I would have this over Blanton's.
Oh, yeah. Any day. I mean, you can get now in Ohio. I think Bland's is $75.
Yeah, it's wild.
Or $65, and I think it's $75.
I almost don't want to buy it.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're just testing what that point is of people not buying it.
But at the rumor of only being 4 to 5 years, lately.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out more. I think we're having Dominic from the Warehouse H book on here probably in the next month or so.
Oh, very cool.
But
I have a book.
Yeah, I have one in there too. I'm about halfway through with it now. It took me a while to get started, and then once I did, I couldn't stop.
A lot of interesting information.
There is a ton. Yeah, I think this is really good. The finish, like I said, I go back to this. I'm going to probably give this Probably in the range of like a 3.5, 3.6.
I'm there with you. I'm right there, 3.5, 3.6 on this too for shelf ready, available under $25. It's you can't beat it.
Yeah, I think it's honestly it's a shame that we know what this is, just because, you know, I think that doing these blind has been a nice little addition to this series.
Yeah, like the Dickel 15 year.
Yeah, like all of them that we've done.
That was like $50 or $45.99.
I think we started that with the Makers, 101. I think that was the first one we did blind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like I think that really adds a level of true unbiased. I come into this knowing what it is. I come into it knowing that I like it. I come into it knowing that it's cheap. So that all of that I feel like affects my rating. So it's not 100% fair.
I think that's why we picked its opponent, because that's also going to be a very good pour.
And they're both 100 proof, so I think that's a big part of it. So it'll be at least apples to apple from a viscosity, from a proof point, and a little bit different on the mash bill. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But this is a rye mash for Old Forester, and we're about to have a wheated mash for the next one. So what would you give this?
3.6.
What did I settle on? Did I say 3.5 or 3.6?
You said 3.5, 3.6.
Okay, yeah. We'll just call it 3.55. So I'm going to put this back before we dive into this next one. That way I have a little bit left here. Why don't you put that on your side? And that way you can take some later too. So this next one we're doing is the Bardstown Origin Series. This is the black label, which is their wheated 100 proof.
Bottled in bond.
And it is actually bottled in bond. So one of the things, if you've been following Bardstown, one of the things that they've done really, really well over the years is blending or mingling of different whiskeys, different brands, some of their own, some mixed with Dickel, some mixed with other Kentucky distilleries, Indiana distilleries, things like that, throwing in rye. They've really gotten their blending game down. So it was really interesting, and I think a lot of people were really excited when they decided to come out with their own Origin series that was not a blended, experience. It was, or a blended expression, if you will. And I think, I was really excited. I got the rye and I got the high rye bourbon, and then it took me forever to find the wheated bottled in bond. But once I did, I now have 3 bottles of it because I was worried I would not find it again. But once I found that, I was able to keep finding it. But it took a while. It took me probably 3 or 4 months after it came out to find it.
I have the white label and this wheated bottled in bond both backed up in my bunker too.
Yeah, I've got an extra of the white, and I've got 2 extras of the black. So
the 2 blenders there, Nick Smith is one of them, and Steve Nally is really the curator of all of this. And he started out his career at Maker's Mark. Yeah, and
I've had a pretty good experience with all of their stuff. I don't think I've had a bad expression from them. But I've also had a blast when I've gone to Bardstown Bourbon Company.
We had fun last year.
Yeah, and we had, I think, I've been there with Jason, and they gave us a bottle while we were there, and well, it was already open, but we were drinking from the bottle, and then not directly mouth to lips, or lips to bottle, but we were drinking from the bottle, and then he gets called away, and he just gives us the bottle. He's like, "Hey, take it," and he says, "Hey, empty out your gift bag." Takes our gift bag, takes the tissue paper and wraps it around the bottle we were just drinking from. Says, "Here you go."
It's kind of like John Wadle when we were sitting in the tasting room. One time,
right? And then I went to the library or museum or whatever they call it in the back room, and we got to drink some curated sampling of 3 different whiskeys from there as well. That was outstanding.
Oh wow!
That was fun. That was a little pricey, but it was worth it for sure. There were 3 things that aren't made anymore. They were dusty as can be. They were old as can be. It was a really cool experience.
I've been told to ask to see it.
Yeah, it's neat for sure, and it's always changing because they're taking donations. Like some people are going out and finding it. Some people are donating it. It's a mixture of just some crazy stuff. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this and nose the...
I'm getting all kinds of notes on this. Started out with like a Starburst, the Reds.
My nose is a little muted on this one compared to, I think, that banana nut bread that you get on the Old Forester. It's so prominent, so strong that I feel like it mutes things after that.
You know how your left and right nostril kind of pick up different tendencies?
Yeah.
So, like, my left one picks up the Starburst candy, and my right nostril picks up, like, this cashew.
I definitely get the nuttiness. I'm definitely getting that. And I'm getting a little bit of, I guess, maybe some fruit type, maybe Starbursty type of flavor, I think, maybe.
Starburst, Skittles, one of those two.
Something. Let me go ahead and dive into this, though. Definitely has a little bit more of a wheat flavor to it.
Yep.
I like it. It's a little more harsh isn't the right word, but it's not even close to the right word. It's not harsh at all, but it has something else that kind of jumps out middle of the tongue, and it jumps out strong. Everything about the Old Forester 100 signature is it hits all parts of the tongue, but it's kind of
for me, it's kind of like an evolution.
I want to say smooth. I know people hate that word, but when it's hitting every part of your tongue, it's really smooth. If you were looking at like a histogram that shows like movement, different layers of intensity or something. This, I feel like in the middle of the tongue, the histogram would be off the chart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the Old Forester, if you were looking like a histogram of the flavor profile, it would actually be pretty steady all the way around. Front, middle, back.
Yep.
This one on the middle of the tongue, I feel like would just be super amplified at the top.
There's not a whole lot up front, and there's not a whole lot there at the back end.
I mean, there's stuff there. It's just I feel like the middle takes over this expression.
I feel like the nuttiness takes over.
Yeah, and it's definitely a nuttiness. That's what it is. That's like that explosion of flavor. It is a nuttiness for sure. And then the finish is middle. It's probably low to middle or low to medium finish for me.
So in today's terminology, it'd be mid.
Something. But this is good. I bought 3 of these for a reason. I had it once. I've already killed a bottle of it, so I've actually bought 4 bottles of this. I think I could sit down and drink either one of these on any night. And I actually forget that I have this sometimes because I treat it like a hard-to-get bottle because for me it was.
Yep.
Even though I don't think it is anymore. But for me it was when I initially tried to get it. So I don't dive into it as much as I probably would enjoy. What do you give this on the rating? I did first on the last one. You'd go first on this one.
I'm kind of at a 3.1.
So a little lower than the Old Forester, which is funny because how much does this cost? This was like around $50, right?
It's a $50 bottle.
So I mean, that just amuses me. I don't know why, but I just think that's a funny thing to me because when you're taking something that's $20-some and you say that it's better than a $50 bottle, that just cracks me up. And it just kind of, to me, exemplifies the bourbon industry. All these people are chasing all these super crazy expensive bottles when there's these cheap bottles on the shelf that just are really good.
Well, they've been on the shelves for years for a reason.
Yeah, but they're also being ignored on the shelf, is what I'm saying.
Well, everybody's always asking the cashiers, what do you got special?
You got blends?
Yeah.
You got blends?
And that's crazy to me because I drink this over Blanton's too.
Oh, yeah. I would probably drink this over Blanton's as well, especially now at the price point. Yeah, I'd probably give this about a 3.3. So both of them are, and you got to remember, just to set expectations here, when we give a high rating, it's generally something that's higher in proof.
Yes.
Usually. So for us to give something a 3.5, 3.6, and a 3.3 that is a shelfer and only around 100 proof, that's pretty much saying something. I think that's a compliment to the bourbon.
Neither one's bad.
No, not at all. Not even close. This is these are both highly recommended. I would say you buy either one of these if you see it on the shelf. If you don't have Old Forester 100 just sitting as a daily drinker or something to offer friends when they come over, then you're wrong. It's that simple. For as cheap as it is and how good it is, it's great in cocktails. It's great neat. There's no reason to not just have it sitting on your bar. All right. Well, thanks for joining in on another episode of Manscaped Mouth Experience Monday. Hopefully you'll join us in next week when we go back to the blind format, and I try to surprise everyone with something that they may not know what it is. So we'll see how that goes. And join us later this week for our regular long-form episode on Wednesday. Thanks, and have a great day, guys. Thank you for joining us on yet another hunt for great bourbon. Please give us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening. But if you can't, leave some constructive criticism in the review so that we can get better at improving our show. Good reviews help us bring better guests on for your listening pleasure, not mine. But until then, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.